Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. This morning, I will be chairing the hearing. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'm joined on the panel by Mr. Narinder Donjal and Ian Mann as my panel members. The secretary today will be, Monica Giesbrecht Amoya, and the assessor representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment and Taxation Department is Mr. Eric Gauthier. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into this meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave this meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by this Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if their matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questioning by the applicant first and then the panel members, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions, of the assessor first and then the panel members. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions based on evidence presented here today. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items number 1, 3, 6, 7, and 8 on the docket today.
It should also be number 2. I think it was 1 to 3.
Number 2 has been added. 226 Thurso Street.
Yeah, I believe it said 1 to 3 on the introduction. Mayor. Not present though.
Not present. Okay.
I haven't heard anything from them.
Okay. Okay, so we're showing that we're going to be hearing items 1 through 3 and 6 through 9 on our docket today. Ms. Monica, could you please swear in the assessor, please?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Eric Gauthier.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, first item on the docket is going to be, 1081 Jesse Avenue. I believe it's via Zoom. And we're dealing with a 2023 realty appeal. And there are no outstanding issues filed on this property. So Monica, if we could be joined by Mr. Jones, I believe.
One moment, sorry. I have the 1081.
There is no one connected for that.
This one. I'll have to go back to that item then. All right, yeah, so there's no one for items 1 and 2, so we can proceed to item 3 via Zoom, and I can connect that person right away.
The chairperson directs.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, if I understand, Monica, there's nobody present for 1081 Jesse Avenue?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so for 1081, so there's nobody registered to appear in the hearing today, is that correct?
Well, they had said they were going to join via Zoom, but I don't see them on currently.
Okay.
In the waiting, they're not.
Okay, so regarding item number 1, 1081, file number 22-204. And 1081 Jesse Avenue. It'll be moved to the end of the docket. Okay. Next property on the docket, number 2, is 226 Thurso Street, file number 22-210. And is there anybody registered to appear on that property?
No, there's no one
Okay.
registered.
Okay. Okay, so item number 22-210, 226 Thurso Street will be moved to the end of the docket. Next property on the file is item number 3, file number 22-205. Monica, is there anybody present for this property at 3616 Bachelor Avenue?
Yes, via Zoom. I just
Okay. All right. So we're showing Mr. McLean. Would you mind swearing in the appellant, please?
Yes. Mr. Applicant, Mr. McLean, can you please state your full name?
Kyle McLean.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. McLean. Bear with us while we get up the brief from the assessor and yourself. Okay. Mr. Gauthier, are all the panel members on the assessor's brief before we proceed?
Yes, I am, Mr. Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Gauthier, when you're ready, please.
Subject property is roll number 010014485500, commonly known as 3616 Bachelor Avenue. It's located in the neighborhood of Varsity View.
Can you speak a little louder, sir?
Is this
Mr.
better?
Assessor?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay. It's a one-story bungalow, single-family home, built in 1951, 853 square feet. It has a full basement. It has basement finishing. We have one full bath, no half baths, no extra showers, no central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garage. We have a single detached garage, no in-ground pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a 27,071 square foot lot. We have the 2023 assessed value at 303,000. I'll proceed with the comparable sales. So I have 4 comparables today that are all located in Varsity View. They're all bungalows, single family homes. The year builds vary between 1955 and 1973. Same with the effective ages. The square footage is a fairly tight range, between 864 square feet and 972 square feet. They all have full basements with basement finishing. They all have one full bath. The half baths range between 0 and 1. As far as extra showers, only comparable 2 has an extra shower added. Central air conditioning, comparables 2, 3, and 4 have central AC. None of them have fireplaces. Comparable number 2 has a multiple attached garage. As far as detached garages go, comparable 1 has a multiple, comparable 2 has none, comparable 3 has a multiple, and comparable 4 has none. None of them have in-ground pools. Only comparable 3 has a sunroom. The land sizes vary quite a bit. The low end, 5,048 square feet for the comparables. At the high end, 13,585 square feet. Comparables 3 and 4 have traffic influences, comparable 3 has traffic, comparable 4 has commercial adjacent. More specifically, it has a view of the apartment block. All the 4 sales are in our reference period. The sale prices range between $291,500 and at the high end, $348,000. The sale prices per square foot range between $358 a square foot to $333 a square foot. Time adjusted sales prices range between $297,000 and $352,000. The time adjusted sales price per square foot ranges between $360 or $388 a square foot to $339 a square foot. And my recommendation is to maintain the assessed value at $303,000. Note that the subject property sold in our reference period on 26th of November 2019 for $280,000. When you time adjust $280,000 in 2019 to bring it forward to a reference date of April 1st, 2021, the time adjusted sales price for that particular purchase is $302,000. So very close to our assessed value. And I just wanted to note the size difference between the land.
Eric, it's just cutting out a little bit.
Okay, I just wanted to note that I'm recommending to maintain the value and that the subject property sold in 2019 for $280,000. That'll be all for now.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Does the appellant have any questions of the evidence presented by the assessor so far?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so on the city assessment website under my properties profile, they included 780 Haney Street and 633 Laxdale Road, but you've included 229 Cathcart and 229 Varsity View while leaving 3807 Bachelor Avenue and 238 Laxdale Road. Why is there a variance between what the city's website under my properties say and your assessment?
So the city's website, when you log into your portal, those are a sample of properties. It's a sample amongst many, many properties that are used in the mass valuation modeling system. So for example, we may have used 50 sales in the area to come up with values for bungalows that are in a certain range of size and year builds. Those are nothing but a sample. When we deal with an appeal, we're doing a single property appraisal, which is a different process than mass appraisal. So mass appraisal, like I said, would take a ton of data and come up with values and dissect values based on a lot of sales. When I'm asked to do a single property appraisal, my process is to basically find the most comparable sales I can find and present those as my comparables. Typically, I'll present 4 if I can.
What was the reason for using 229 Cathcart, which is 22 years newer?
Well, for people who understand construction, there are eras that are very similar in construction. So for example, in 1912 construction, you may see wood foundation, stone foundation. So you wouldn't want to use that and mix it in with a 1950 home where concrete foundations were introduced. In the 80s, plumbing, ABS plumbing was introduced. So you have kind of a jump up in quality there. They started using 2x6 construction. I don't want to bore you with that, but basically anything between 1940 and say 1980, quality-wise and construction material-wise would be similar. So yeah, that would be the reason why.
And the same question for 229 Varsity View, which is 21 years newer.
So my year builds don't exceed 1973. So same question, same answer. Quality.
Yeah, and I would point out that the year built is 1962 on 229 Varsity View, but the effective year built is 1972.
Yeah, so it means that it's had some upgrading, nothing substantial. I mean, 10 years effective age, it could be a bathroom that was done and some flooring that was redone.
Do you know what those changes were?
I don't have them exactly noted here.
Right. How many bedrooms at 229 Varsity View Drive?
We don't actually list the number of bedrooms. It's not a factor in our model. So whether a house has 10 bedrooms or 1 bedroom, it doesn't actually affect our value. It actually goes by square footage.
Would it not affect the resale value? So which is what you base your price on?
So if you chopped up your house and made 10 bedrooms and made it dysfunctional, you wouldn't get more because you have 10 bedrooms in your home.
But 2 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms allows for additional people. So 2 children and adults. Is that correct? One could assume.
No, there could be a bedroom in the basement, so someone could assume that. Typically, market value difference could be, for example, if there's a similar square footage. That's why it's really important to use similar square footage. We'll get into that a little bit more in detail later, why that's extremely important. But say a 900 square foot bungalow, for example, may have 3 bedrooms. But guess what? Now you don't get a dining room, so the value is impacted there. So maybe you have a similar house that has the same square footage. You have 2 bedrooms, but you have a dining room. So typically in the marketplace, you get a bit of a trade-off there. That's why it's important to stick with similar size homes.
Okay. On 229 Varsity View, you have it listed at 875, but when it was sold, it was 909 square feet. Can you explain the discrepancy there?
Yeah, so we go by what we have here. Realtors can get creative. They can make mistakes. Possibly we have a mistake. Doesn't sound like a mistake that's big enough to worry about or discuss too much here today and waste our time.
It does change the square footage price that you presented, though, to $326.73 per square foot when you added 909. It was possibly due to the addition of the front porch area, which would be somewhat livable space. What features of the garage and driveway are at 3807 Bachelor Avenue?
Well, I have here that it has a multiple detached garage.
So it's a double detached insulated garage. It's set back from the house approximately 15 to 20 feet. The driveway is partially cemented with a parking pad in front of the garage along the side of the house. What are the features of the garage and driveway for 229 Cathcart?
I'm not sure why this is relevant, but I don't have details on the driveway.
Is a garage not relevant in the assessed value?
The garage is relevant in the assessed value, correct?
Right. So when I present my details, I will present why my garage does not qualify and equal to what is here. And I'm also going to present why the driveway in my property is different from these properties.
Perfect.
So what is the garage and the driveway at 229 Cathcart Street?
I don't have details on the driveway. It's not something that's part of our model. Whether a driveway is interlocking or a driveway is concrete or gravel, it's not something that we factor in.
Okay, so the garage at that property is attached and accessible. It's 16 by 24 feet, heated with a drive-through access to the backyard. The driveway is paved with asphalt.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
perhaps leave your evidence for when you present. What we're doing here is questioning the assessor on the evidence he's presented. If you've got any detailed differences between this comps and the subject property, would you mind leaving that for when you make your own presentation?
For sure, definitely. The other questions then, you had mentioned a sunroom at 230. So can I question the sunroom that he presented at 238 Laxdale Road?
238. I don't know if he presented a sunroom, but
Yes, there's a sunroom present at 238 Laxdale, yes.
pardon me?
There is a sunroom present at 238 Laxdale, that's correct.
Okay, is it detailed in the brief?
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
I don't have any details.
Fair enough. Okay, go ahead.
So what's the square footage of the sunroom for 238 Laxdale?
I don't have the details on everything. I mean, we're not here to split hairs over every square inch and every minor difference. The comparables are all going to be slightly different. I did present that there is a sunroom, so that everyone is aware of that.
So it's 160 square feet, the sunroom. So which would add to the livable space for your square footage calculations?
No, we don't. This sunroom would be actually not in our livable square feet.
No? All right. And then the last one I have is can I ask about what they've assessed the properties at in 2023?
No, this
No.
panel.
No, okay, perfect.
No, we're not going to deal with assessed value because, we'll just leave it at that.
Right. The only thing that on one of those statements is that they've assessed a few of these properties much lower than what the time adjusted values are, which means that they presented properties of much higher value. But that was the only comment. I won't get into the details. Yep.
And I think Mr. Gauthier can explain. No, we'll just leave assessments out of it.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions, sir?
No.
Okay. Mr. Mann, any questions on the assessor's evidence?
I do, thank you. I'm just looking at the length of this property. The square footage of the property is significantly higher than the comps. What kind of value, or is there a correlation between the size of the property, Mr. Gauthier, and the assessed value, or is that just something that goes into the model with respect to an increase or decrease in the valuation per square foot?
Yeah, so as far as land is concerned, it's not the size, it's what you can do with it. It wasn't really meant to be a joke, but so what happens is when I look at a piece of land, I don't just look at, okay, well, what's the size of it and apply an amount per square foot. Some of it may not be usable. There are cases where land could be subdividable. So it gets a little more complex than, what's the value of a square foot of land. Frontage is extremely important, as we're going to see with another item on the docket later. There's also excess land. So this, in my opinion, property probably has excess land. So in other words, the bush in the back is worth, and you can actually see that when you look at my comparable sales. A lot of them are on much smaller parcels, yet the value supports what we've come up with the assessment. In other words, the fact that comparable number 2, for example, is on 5,000 square feet of land. It's 5 times less land, but almost as usable and as valuable, if that makes sense.
Thank you. And one other question, are you aware of any zoning restrictions with respect to use of the land at the subject property 3616 Patmore Avenue?
I'm not aware of any zoning restrictions per se. You can get complicated where property planning and development specializes in use of land and rezoning and that sort of thing. It's not my specialty, to be honest. Typically, if a property conforms with the neighborhood, I look at this property and I don't really suspect that anyone could convert it to commercial or throw an apartment block there, that sort of thing. So in other words, if you're wondering if a large parcel like that could be used for a higher and better use, I suspect no, but I don't know that for a fact. Just given where it is on the map, I don't think they would necessarily allow for a rezoning or a different use of the property.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any other questions at all?
Yes, I got one here. Going back to your comparison number 3 there, you were saying you got no details on the sunroom whatsoever. You don't know if it's a 3-season sunroom. You don't know what size it is.
3-season sunrooms typically, if it's heated space, basically, we would add that as additional area. And coming back to Mr. McLean's question, it would change the square footage that we have on file. So the fact that this is not means that it is an independent sunroom. So typically, what we code as a sunroom is one of those kits that you see. That's your typical sunroom. So if you have what some people call or what realtors refer to as a sunroom that's on a full crawl space in addition, we treat that differently at our end and we add it as additional area, and the value would be different. So you can assume that this is a kit type of sunroom.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
I unfortunately cut out there for the last 6 or 7 minutes. Was I the only one disconnected?
I believe so.
Monica,
Yes, Robert?
was it your feed that disconnected or was it my end? Pardon me?
It was on your end.
My end. Okay, I'm sorry, but I missed Mr. Mann's question of the assessor and also Narinder's question of the assessor. Mr. Mann, would you mind repeating your question?
Sure. My question related to the size of the property and the effect that had on the overall valuation or the per square foot. The answer in, I guess in brief, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Mr. Gauthier, but the answer in brief was that the size, the gross size of the land is not as important, or at least the gross length of the land is not as important as the frontage and the square footage of the house, because all of the land may not be usable. And Mr. Gauthier referenced some bush at the back of this property as well. My other question was with respect to zoning restrictions with respect to this property, and that was a little bit outside of Mr. Gauthier's area of expertise. He did not believe that planning and zoning had been either approached or would necessarily approve different use for this lot, whether it be commercial or multifamily. But again, that was more of a, I guess, a hypothetical that I was posing that wasn't appropriate to the area of expertise of Mr. Gauthier or the valuation. So that was, those are my questions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the only question that I had was with the sunroof in reference to if it was an all season or not, and he felt that it was a kit that was installed after the fact, so it wasn't really considered as a living space.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my questions, Mr. Gauthier, are regarding the comparables. I'm going to go first to comparable number 3 at 238 Laxall Road. That's considered a medium traffic route. Is that right? That street going down to Grant, I guess, at the light there?
Yeah, it's considered your street, so
Okay,
you could basically go from Grant all the way to Roblin on Black.
okay. And my second question is the next comparable, number 4. You state it's commercial adjacent, and I believe, just to confirm, that you said it was next to an apartment block?
Not adjacent, but across the street, it has a view of an apartment block and a
So
park.
an influence, okay. It's a commercial influence, okay. Okay. And
And to be clear, that's a low rise, so I think it's 3 or 4 stories.
oh yeah, okay, okay.
High rise is worse because it can block your sun and so on, so it's not.
Sure, okay. And that's on Varsity View Drive, okay. So is that close? I'm just looking at your map here. Is that close to Roblin, or are we?
Yeah, you're getting really close to Roblin there. You're probably like 3-4 properties away from Roblin.
Okay. All right, so it's at the north end of that that block, right? Okay. Right. And regarding the time-adjusted sale price to 303,000. Regarding the time-adjusted sale price to 303,000, can you explain how that would be developed?
I wish we did it differently, but we take market regions, so not just Varsity. For example, we take massive market regions and look at the average price appreciation since our last reassessment. So in this particular example, we would have gone back to April 1st, 2018, used all the sales in that particular market region, and we would have come up with a percentage to help us time adjust sales. So, I mean, in the city, it varies. I don't have the map with me currently, but it's, I had new construction in market region 10, so I know that's like 9% or something like that. So it varies by market region. So you'd have to do the math to figure that out. But this is what our model is automatically time adjusting to bring that 2019 sale forward as if it hypothetically sold on our reference date.
Okay. All right.
I wish we did it by neighborhood, because there's examples where specific neighborhoods in specific market regions have gone up substantially more than the area.
Okay.
We do the best we can with the tools we have. And
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Okay. I have no other questions. So, Mr. McLean, bear with me 1 second while we get to your brief, please. Okay. Are all the panel members there on the appellant's brief?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLean, when you're ready, please.
All right, so I've provided a documentation here. It's on my property at 3616 Bachelor Avenue, roll number 0100144850 in the municipality of Charleswood. My assessed value based on my comparables should be $224,000, which puts it at an assessed value per square foot of $262.60. The information I used was based on the City of Winnipeg sales book of 2021 for market region number 6 in the Varsity View 608 neighborhood boundaries. As the assessor just mentioned, sometimes they take an area that's much wider than that, but I stuck to the Varsity View area, not realizing I could exceed that. There's some property attributes that is at the intersection of Bachelor and Princeton. Princeton ends at Bachelor, so the traffic coming down the street shines their lights right on the house, and then the garage is not usable for vehicle just due to the layout of it, and then the land value, the land size is not always usable. I'll go into more details now. So the proposed value is 303, which works out to a value of 355 a square foot. The interior of the home is an average 2-bedroom house with a finished basement, plaster walls, which has regular cracking, original hardwoods, original windows and doors, which include storm windows for the winter. The exterior of the house, it's a T of Bachelor and Princeton, as mentioned earlier. Southbound traffic on Princeton points directly at the house, meaning my blinds and shutters in the living room and master bedroom are closed at all times, in the front for privacy reasons and evening for light pollution from vehicles. You can see that in photo 1, which we'll get into a bit after. The garage is detached from the house, but not usable for vehicles due to the offset of the garage from the house. I mean, there's a risk of hitting the house when exiting the garage. It's currently just used for storage. The driveway is a very basic limestone driveway with a center grass strip. The driveway needs to be updated and repaired. Presently, water pools at the end of the driveway on the city approach portion. And then as for the land, the assessor did mention that, it is a large size. The value may or may not be attributed to that on the assessed value, but some information about the land, it is 56 feet wide by 484 feet. It is a rather large city lot. Unfortunately, 3/4 of the property in the back is not usable due to the topography and lack of drainage, which results in standing water and swampy conditions. The usable portion of the land would be similar to what is in my neighbor's area that do not have deep lots. There's no access to draining the land into the storm sewer system or ditches, as the back of the property does not have any access to that due to the boundary lines. The only way to get equipment in there to even drain it would be I'd have to somehow aerially fly it in, because there's no access around my property to reasonably get equipment back there. The city also approved a development at the rear of this property, which removed a large set of trees, grassed areas, and drainage that would have removed this water from my property. Unfortunately, when the development was done, no drainage was provided on my property, and it's caused water to accumulate, which makes the land unusable at its present point, and there is no access to the property at the rear from that the development area without crossing other people's property. So the only access is from the front of the property. The comparables that I presented were 248 McLean Street, 230 Laxdale.
Mr. Gauthier, would you mind pointing out where your comparables on your brief? Where it's located, so the panel can look at what you're referring to.
Sorry, you're asking Mr. McLean or myself?
I'm sorry, I'm Mr. McLean.
So the page number 6 shows the property comparables. I have a map there showing my property, which has the green star and circle, and then the 4 properties are indicated on the map there.
I mean the spreadsheet with the details of your comparable addresses, perhaps, I guess, selling price per square foot. And which graph are you referring to?
So on page 5 now of
I don't have any page numbers on mine, but okay. Page 5, right on okay. And are we talking about the bottom spreadsheet? Are these your sales comps?
You're looking at the PDF document, correct?
Yes, got it. Yeah. Page 5.
Yeah, so page 5. So, and what's your question, Mr. Chairman?
I'm wondering which spreadsheet you're referring to with showing your comparable selling prices. There's three graphs here, data.
Right. So the top one shows the year, the sale price, and the time adjusted. Following the one below shows the attributes to it, the square footage, whether it's a basement, finished or not, the year, and the bottom one provides the price. Just due to the size and the spacing of presenting the data, it's broke down in 3 parts.
Okay. So these are all, I see, they're duplicates. All right. Yep. Sorry, I was just got to the page and I'm trying to analyze what you're presenting here.
You get all different fashions in different ways. So I apologize that I presented like the city had it there. So
no, not at all. I just wanted to know I don't want you to be speaking without being able to analyze what you're saying. Yep. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So the top portion is just showing the properties. So I've used 248 McLean Street, 230 Laxdale Road, 235 Haney Street, and 393 Haney Street. They're all one-story buildings. Time adjusted value sale price is between 294 or 242 is the low and 396 is the high. The second portion of that in the middle there shows the attributes. So they all have finished basements. 248 McLean Street doesn't have a finished basement. The year is all within a reasonable range between 1940 and 1964 is a high. They all have air conditioning, no fireplaces. One has an attached garage, 230 Laxdale Road. One has a detached garage, 393 Haney, and then the other two, 248 McLean and 235 Haney, do not have garages. And then the only one with a pool is 230 Laxdale Road. When I take that value down to the bottom chart there, which has the square footage price, it ranges from 240 up to 276. When I add that to my square footage, I come to an average value of 223,677, which is when I presented the 224 as the value. As you go down to the next page, page 6, it's just a map of the comparable properties in location to my property there. So you can see they're close and reasonable value or reasonable comparisons due to the location of them. I did present obviously the city's comparable data from the website, so you can ignore page 7 and page 8 because it has no reasonable stuff to this presentation because those properties have changed. And then on to the Appendix A, I have photo 1 shows that Princeton leads into my property, and there is no barriers. I have planted some trees to try to prevent that light pollution, but obviously it's going to take years for those to grow. Page 10 has the photos related to the garage. As you can see, the garage, angle coming off the driveway is a bit offset, and it's a single car garage, so it's harder to get into, and due to not wanting to hit my house, I'm not able to use it. Page 11 shows the driveway condition, which is just a limestone driveway and whatnot up to the property. And then pages 12 and 13 show the back of the property. So the first photo, number 6, shows my usable space for where I can actually enjoy the property. And then 7 and 8 show the water accumulation. This photo was actually taken in June of this year, so the middle of June. You can see there's a water accumulation there, and then also just sort of a swampy condition in number 8 also. And it's all treed back there. That is the conclusion to my presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McLean. Mr. Gauthier, any questions of the appellant's evidence presented?
Yeah, I just wanted maybe Mr. McLean to walk us through, because one of the most important steps in appraisal is selection of comparables. So I just wanted to know what your selection process was, how you chose these particular comparable sales, and decided that they were comparable to your property.
So I went through and just sort of did the attributes, whether they matched the basement, do they have a basement or not. Some of those conditions, the age was important, so I didn't try to go anything out of too far out. So the largest difference was 230 Laxdale Road, which was 13 years apart. Obviously, valuation was one portion of my stuff per square foot that had a play into it, similar to the city's assessment. I may have taken lower ones and you may have taken higher ones and whatnot on a square footage basis. I made sure they're all 1 stories, that the things like that were somewhat comparable.
Mr. Hutchings, I'd like to submit my rebuttal evidence that I emailed last night after reviewing Mr. McLean's evidence.
Okay. If you just bear with me 1 minute. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I think we're gonna finish questioning the appellant by yourself, and the panel members, and then we'll deal with your rebuttal. Okay, Mr. Gauthier?
That's all the questions I have for Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. How he selected his comparables. Everything else I think was clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Donjal, any questions of the appellant?
No, he's got it all listed black and white. I got no questions at this point.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Yes, Mr. McLean, I'm looking at your figures. I'm looking at my page 7 of 13 of your brief. You have at the very last entry on that page, you have the 3616 Bachelor Avenue, your subject square feet, which you have is 853 for all of the entries. Your 3807 Bachelor, your 238 Laxdell, your 780 Haney, and your 633 Laxdell. And then you have varying amounts for the price per square foot. Is your entry for the subject square feet all based on your address of 3616 Bachelor Avenue? Or is there some...
You can ignore page 7 and 8. That was actually the city's comparables that I included to show the location of them and whatnot. The city's presented 2 different properties, so you can ignore 7 and 8. But if you go up to page 5, that you will have the exact same question. So what I've done is I've taken the square footage. So I've taken the price, the time adjusted price, divided by the square footage of the property to get the square foot price, times it then by my subject property, which is 853 square feet, to then give me a value to present that as an average.
Okay, and the value that you've assigned or the proposed value that you've assigned your residence is $56,000 less than you paid for it 3 years ago?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Okay. Mr. McLean, I'll go to page 5 also. I am, let's go on the second graph. We'll call it a graph showing your subject and then your comparables you picked. Is that right?
Yeah.
248 McLean, 230 Laxdall, and the square footage of those comps are 1,225, 1,505, 901, and 1,120. Am I reading that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So then the next one that Mr. Mann was just referring to, what are we doing there exactly? We're taking you're taking the price per square foot of the graph above, applying it to 853 square feet and coming up with a value based on the selling price of individual comparables. Is that what you're doing there?
Correct. So I've taken the time adjusted value, so 248 McLean Street, which is $294,000 divided by 1,225 to give me a square footage price of 240. Take that value times it by 853 to give me a value of 204,720. I'll use another one, 235 Haney, for example. It was a time adjusted value price of 242,100 divided by 901 gives me a square footage price of 268.70 times by the 853, which is my subject property, which gives me 229,202.
Okay, I see. And then you average it out at 262.22 and apply that to your square footage to request a revised assessment value of, just to be confirmed here,
224.
$224,000. Okay.
Yep.
Based on those 4 comparables. Okay. Or 262 a square foot. Okay. Okay. So just to confirm, you did purchase the property in 2019 for, I've got $280,000. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And that was purchased through a real estate agent or a private sale?
Real estate agent.
Okay. And you purchased it, if I'm correct, in November, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Was the property visible? Like, was there grass showing? When you,
So actually, the original offer was put through in August of that
August.
year.
Okay.
The seller died actually 3 days following the purchase of my property. It then
no.
got put through the court system, so it took
Oh.
3 months for the property to close. So the but yeah, I did not access the rear of the property. I only accessed the house and stuff when I viewed it, just due to some limitations and then and whatnot. Yeah. So I got access in November rather than August when I purchased it.
Okay. Thank you for that. So when you viewed the property with an agent present, I guess, you didn't do a walk around of the rear yard, didn't look out the back windows or anything while you were in the house?
We did, like, we walked to the backyard and whatnot. There was no flooding. It was accessible. Even in the past couple of years, it's flooded in the spring, but being somewhat accessible. Obviously, this year we've had a bit more water, but it's just not draining away, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. We I think we've all experienced because of the accumulation of snow and the rain in the spring. More water in the yards than was in the past. But when you viewed the property, or I'm sorry, when you've lived there over the last 3 years, in the years where there wasn't excess precipitation, the yard was normal. But what you're showing in the pictures is kind of an abnormal situation. Would that be fair to say?
So in the spring, it generally floods. So obviously, we've also had 2 years of massive dry weather. So I can walk through the property. It has long grass, but very patchy and whatnot. I am trying to clear out any of the deadfall that's in there and remove any dead trees and plant any new trees to help with some of that water mitigation and whatnot. But this year's shown that there's nowhere for the water to flow. It actually accumulates sort of on portion of my property and on an adjacent landlocked lot next to mine.
Is there pumping available by the city?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay.
And when they put the new development in the back, obviously they graded their properties in a certain way and whatnot, so the houses are much higher, which I can see from this year when I'm walking the property. It appears that the land escalate sort of back to that brand new house that's back there, but I'm not a person that could actually verify whether that's a true statement, because I don't see the original blueprints from the development. But I can just see that the water just stops at the edge of that property, which means it would have at one point possibly flowed through that area, because it was a whole treed area before it was moved into a brand new housing development. Yeah.
So is there a house now built at the rear of your property?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that developed some land in behind you. Okay.
Yeah. There was a whole city development that's been put in back there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, after the sale of the purchase of the property in 2019, have you done any upgrades to the house at all?
I've just done some painting. The only thing I did add in this spring was I did add air conditioning, which was not obviously on the comp for 2021.
Okay.
And I had to replace the furnace also at the same point. The furnace was 20 years old.
Okay, so furnace plus air conditioning combination installed
Yep.
After purchase of property. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Gauthier, is the central air assessed for? I'm sure I don't have your brief up here, but
Not currently on my brief. We have not assessed it.
okay.
I'll have to check to see if a permit came through or not.
Yeah.
But something
Fair
that
enough. Okay. Okay. So I guess my final question to Mr. McLean is, so you're asking us to reduce the assessment to considerably less than your purchase price in 2019. Is that's what you're saying, Mr. McLean? Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The other two, based on the information I've had, the other two people did not view the house or the property. They were looking at more of it to buy from a development standpoint. But they'd have to accumulate quite a few pieces of property there and whatnot. And then the individual sold it to me rather than having her house tore down.
Yeah, okay.
And I will just be clear, that was information presented to me from the realtor, not anything that I had a chance to speak to the seller on. So, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, that is all my questions. Now, Mr. Gauthier, you have rebuttal evidence. Would you like to present that now, please?
Yeah, I'll go through it as quickly as possible here. I just wanted to kind of point out, I mapped out the subject property and just where it's located. I feel like there's definitely some traffic there, but I just want to put into perspective on how much traffic we're dealing with here on page 2. There's about 24 properties or so, ballpark, that I counted. And just, I mean, imagine most of the people live on Princeton. There's a certain percentage of the time they're going to be heading north towards Roblin Boulevard. So there is traffic there, but I don't know if I would call it heavy or anything like that. That's the first thing I wanted to mention. I had some big concerns about the comparable sales. Not only are they much larger in size, and we'll get to the end of my rebuttal where I can sort of walk you guys through why that's a problem. But the first one on 248 McLean only had a part basement, one of those dugout style basements. This can impact the value tremendously to a home. So that was a big concern, and that's why it's a really low ball sale. To be fair to Mr. McLean, like, we don't give these details necessarily on our website and in our sales books. I wish we did, because I'm sure if he had seen that, he would probably have not chosen that comparable. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. That's the problem with that comparable. So not only is it larger, but the basement, not a similar style home, basically. 230 Laxdale is much larger. So there's flaws with using a 1,400 square foot, as you'll see at the end of my rebuttal. 235 Haney was a private sale. We desperately tried to send a questionnaire to find out details of the transaction. It probably shouldn't have been included in our sales book. I think that was entered by mistake. We typically exclude these transactions. We don't know the details of the transaction. We don't know the terms, the conditions. It's an opaque transaction that took place on the private market. Some of these sales, because they're not in a balanced open market, can swing wildly one way or the other, or they could be sold to an acquaintance. Many things can go wrong with these transactions, and we typically do not use them as a reliable comparable. So 230, and it also, this one as well backs on heavy traffic. If you're familiar with William Clement Parkway, this is what we're talking about, heavy traffic, like non-stop traffic. So the heavy traffic, the private sale, I have big concerns about that comparable. 393 Haney also backs onto William Clement Parkway, big time heavy traffic. Is 1958 dated inside, so I also have major concerns there. The other thing with 393 Haney, I've included the MLS listing to show you. Once again, this is information that Mr. McLean didn't have access to. Obviously, if you're not a realtor or an assessor, you don't have access to MLS and the realtor notes. But 393 Haney was actually an estate sale, sold vacant, asking for immediate possession. It had structural issues. We received a permit shortly after. I've attached a copy of that permit, well, a snip of that permit, give you the nuts and bolts. So we're talking about a distressed sale and a crippled house here that had some serious issues. So, and not only is it, quite a bit larger than the subject property, but with all these other underlying issues, also not a great comparable to rely upon to come up with a value for Mr. McLean's property. And I don't know how much I want to bore you in the end. I'm just going to sum it up because this has been probably dragging on longer than most hearings. So long story short, what I did is I took all the bungalows with basement finish that sold in Varsity View. I mapped them on MLS. So this would not include private sales that we possibly have in our sales book. And I did a range, right? So the larger bungalows versus the smaller ones. I took 10, 15 minutes to do the math just to kind of walk you through the flaws and the problems. And maybe this is an important lesson for Mr. McLean, but you have to use similar properties, because what happens is there's a bell curve of maximum usability with square footage. And what happens is in Charleswood, for example, 900, 1,000 square feet, you're getting top dollar for those square feet. But then you start to lose value. So that's why it's very important to select comparables that are not only close to the subject, if possible, not only similar style of construction, similar year built is important, but big time important is the size. Because as you'll see, if you do the math on these, if you take a larger home and you divide the global price per square foot, which by the way is actually not a recognized appraisal practice, but I don't want to open up that can of worms. But what happens is you end up with very misleading numbers, because if you're not taking the similar size, you'll see. I get 290, an average of 293 per square foot on the larger homes between 1,100 and 1,500 square feet versus 328 on the next sample. So this is 12% difference. So by comparing apples and oranges, there's serious issues with the stats and the math. So those are my concerns. Sorry to have taken up so much time, but I felt like it was important to point that out. I won't have any other rebuttals today.
Okay. Mr. Gauthier, I know that's a rebuttal and you're referring to his market evidence, but you're kind of bordering on presenting new evidence there, bringing in all those sales. But anyway, we'll...
These are not my sales. These are Mr. McLean's sales. So it is rebuttal.
Yeah. Okay, yes. Okay, regarding. Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. McLean, any comments on the rebuttal presented by the assessor?
No, I have nothing. Sorry, I guess I will say 393 Haney isn't affected by William Clements Parkway. If you actually looked at the map, it's very far set back, and there's a huge hill and land barrier between that. It actually presents a nice little park view for that property. Okay.
So there's a green belt between
massive green space. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Mr. Gauthier, any requirement for summary?
I just want to summarize that I think between the best sale is always the open market sale of the subject property. I don't like hanging my hat on one sale, but there's that to consider. I think the comparables, unfortunately, not everybody has the same training as an assessor with years of school behind them or a realtor. So I think what happened is perhaps the comparables that were used by Mr. McLean, if you mathematically adjust them, then they are a little bit misleading. I don't think he intentionally did that. I think it just kind of worked out that way. So excess land, sure. If we say half the land is not usable, that's fine. The value is still supported. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
In summary, I use properties of age that are close to me. The assessor obviously used two properties that are about 20 years older than mine, when there's actually other comparables that would have been closer to in age to that and square footage based on the data I have. I just presented properties which, while they might be in larger size, they had better qualities and features in mind, which should have priced them higher, and then dividing that out by square footage. Obviously, as the assessor said, I just used the square footage price and times it by mine based on the square footage of the property. Maybe I could have chose better properties that were on a closer square footage basis, but I did that. And obviously, I used the values across the whole market range when I was using my data. So I didn't go find one or two properties. I have 20 different properties here listed, and did a data analysis on all of them in the fashion that I presented.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for appearing. And that will conclude 3616 Bachelor Avenue today. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Don't be discouraged. They won't take that much time.
No, that's okay. Each property is different. Okay, next property in the docket. First of all, I'll ask, does anybody require a quick break? It's already 10. What are we looking at here? 10 after 10. Does anybody require a quick break?
I'm okay.
Pardon me? Are you good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still good.
Ian, okay, and I'm fine, okay. All right, next property on the docket is item number 6. File number 22-206. Address is 506 Tyson Trail, pardon me. And I believe the appellant is present at the hearing. Is that right, Monica?
Yes, he is here present.
Okay.
In person.
Okay, would you mind swearing that appellant in once he comes to the table, please?
State your last name. You affirm that the evidence you're about to give is experience, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, that's what I'm
Stating.
Okay. Good morning to the appellant. Mr. Assessor, you've already been sworn in, so we're dealing with 506 Tyson Trail. Everybody on the brief of the assessor ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gauthier, when you're ready, please.
Subject property is roll number 0400-726-6110, commonly known as 506 Tyson Trail. It's located in the neighborhood of Peguis. It's a 2-story single-family home built in 2021, 1,413 square feet with a full basement. We have no basement finish on file. It has 2 full baths, 1 half bath, no extra showers, central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garages. We do not have a detached garage on file yet, but a permit is outstanding, and it's my understanding that is currently under construction. So we have a detached, I believe a detached double garage under construction. We have no in-ground pools and no sunrooms. It's located on 3,309 square feet of land. It has a back lane with, and it's also commercial adjacent. We have the 2023 assessed value at $375,000. I'm presenting 3 comparables that are all, well, 2 of them are on Tyson Trail, 1 on John Neufeld. They're all very close to the subject, as you'll see on my map. They're all 2-story homes. Built in 2019. The range is very tight in square footage. They all have full basements. None have basement finish. The bathrooms range, full baths range between 2 and 1. Half baths range between 2 and 1 as well. Comparable number 2 and 3 have extra showers. They all have central air except comparable number 3 does not. No fireplaces on any of them. Comparable number 3 has a multiple attached garage. Comparable number 1 and 2 have a multiple detached garages. None of them have pools, and none have sunrooms. The land size is all fairly similar, with a range between 3,545 and 4,339. They're all sold in 2019. The sale prices range between 200 and I'm just going to round here, 262,000 and 383,000. The time adjusted sales price ranges between 386,000 and 426,000. And the time adjusted price per square foot ranges between $263 a square foot to $292 a square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the value based on the comparables. That'll be all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Good morning to the appellant. Sir, do you have any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor so far in his brief?
Yes, sir. I have an observation. Should I go ahead?
Do you have any questions of the evidence presented by the assessor so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
To start with, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a question. The assessor made mention of the gross floor area to be 1413 square feet. It's not correct. It's 1352. The gross floor area of my building is 1352 square feet. I sent the email on July 19. I attached all the documents. 1352 square feet, not 1413.
Okay. So
Okay.
I can answer to that.
Yes,
So
please.
what happens with some of the tract home builders, I'll give you a couple examples, Randall Homes and ANS, they actually strip out staircases. So I had new construction in the south end of the city, so I know this. There's certain builders that use certain architects that strip out those areas. How we measure the subject property, and for that matter, every single property on our roll, for residential anyhow, it's the exterior of the home. We do subtract vaulted areas. So if you walk into someone's house and you have that massive vaulted entrance that goes up 2 stories, we would subtract that, but we don't subtract staircases. So typically we see about a 70-ish square foot discrepancy between what's actually there and what would be on the building plans. It's unfortunate because it's very confusing for homeowners, and we get this sort of inquiry quite often. Typically when I speak to a new homeowner, I'll warn them about that when I talk to them, but sometimes we miss a few people or so. I can almost guarantee that if the appellant actually measures their home from the outside and sketches it on paper and does the math, it'll be really close, with, considering rounding as well, but it'll be very close to what we have and not close to what's on the building plans.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Sir, does that answer your question?
I do not fully agree because
Okay.
that is what is on our document, 1352 square feet. And Randall Home is a very prominent developer, so well recognized. So I don't want to believe that they made a mistake.
So if your home was built by Randall?
Yes, by Randall.
I add Randall Homes. That's one of my main jobs is adding homes. I can tell you on almost every single Randall plan I have, they strip out the square footage. I can promise you that. Tell you what, if you measure your house from the outside and you have a discrepancy with the square footage, not what's written on the plans or on your brochure, what's actually there. If there's an issue, give us a call. We'll come out and measure it. And if there's a problem, we'll be happy to adjust it and backdate any difference to you if need be.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Thank you. Okay, sir. Please proceed.
Yes, and then you made mention of under the land information, you made mention of Bartley commercial adjacent. That place is not commercial area; it's pure residential, and it's a new site. So I don't really know what you mean by commercial adjacent.
Yeah, I'll just pull it up on the map here. Oftentimes it can be an apartment block, but I can clarify that if you give me 1 second here.
Mr. Assessor, are you going to screen share what's your information?
I could. I don't really know how to do that, to be honest. I'm not the best tech person here, but I can clarify what that is. So there's a parcel, to me, is showing as vacant land directly behind the subject that would be zoned for commercial use. So hopefully I'm not spoiling the appellant's day, but behind him is possibly some nice green space now, but it may be turned into something like a strip mall, or I haven't had time to look at the specific zonings, but it could be something of the sort. So that's why, or maybe it's just a multifamily development. So what we do in our model, when we're aware of these zonings, we would basically deduct value because of the negative influence. So this is something that's stripping out some value on the subject property. Any other questions?
Yes, but at the moment there's nothing like commercial at the moment. So also I have another observation here concerning the land size. you compare, compare some property, the Tyson 344, then the one at 16 and 21. I think the distance compared to my property is far, and these are property built not this year. So we have similar one that you could have used, like 510, 502, 502, 498, like that of 498. Almost similar to that of my property and used by the same developer. About the same site, the same gross floor area. So I don't know why you use far distance, almost 1 kilometer more than that as a comparison. Then the land size of mine is 3309. Then you use the comparison you use is almost 1,000 different. They have almost 1,000 different, like 43, 39. Then the other one for 35, 45. 4254. And you made mention that land doesn't matter, land size doesn't matter. I think from my experience, the land size matter because it depends on the method of valuation you use. I know for property tax, use comparison. But if we are going to use cost method of valuation, the land size is very important because you have the price of the land with the cost of construction, then depreciate to arrive at the market value. So the land size of my property is far below the comparable one.
What you'll notice is this, is when you're shopping around these new developments, and I've done so myself, you'll notice that, so you weren't here for the previous conversation about land size. We had a lot of good information there, or maybe you were here, sorry. So basically, land is all about, it's not about the size, but what you can do with it. So, the fact that you have a few more feet of frontage, maybe the developer is asking $5,000 more, $2,000 more for this lot versus that lot. But in essence, unless there's a dramatic difference in the land size or the usability, for example, a much larger lot with a 60-foot frontage where you could put a substantial bungalow there, and you can't do that on any other lot, yes, you would get a premium for that. But dollars for donuts, if you look at what these three comparables, what the land sold for, it's not going to be far off of what you paid. You may have paid a slightly less because you're backing onto potential commercial. That's definitely a possibility, but we're not talking about something dramatic here, like in the tens of thousands of dollars difference between these parcels. I have a lot of experience in this because I deal with the new developments and new construction. It's my specialty. So I always poke around and look at the difference in land sales. And you would be shocked that things that you think would affect the value, such as 1,000 extra square feet, doesn't. Because at the end of the day, you can put the same house on there or a similar house, and most people to the naked eye would barely be able to tell. So when you're dealing with those type of differences, it's nothing that needs to be adjusted for or poses a big concern.
Thank you. I raised that because it depends on the method of valuation you use. If you use cost method of valuation, the land side is very important.
No, the province uses cost model valuation. Our model is not based on cost.
Yes, I know use comparison.
Yeah, it's based on it's based on an automated valuation model that's dissecting comparables. So if you're not happy with my comparables, we can review yours. I actually think you picked some great comparables too on our sales book that also support our value, but we can look at those. There's many more. There's actually one of your neighbor's houses sold, but some of these builders put through the sale as a dollar sale, and it poses a big problem for me it's hours of work for me to manually load them in my brief. So I didn't use it, but there's nothing.
Let's leave the appellant's evidence. The appellant can present their evidence when it's their turn. Sir, any other questions of the assessor's brief?
Yes, I have another question. I think from my observation, there's a difference between asset value and market value, right?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
The question, I'm talking about open market value or market value and asset value. What are the differences?
Well, so the Act basically says that we need to use market value. So market value on a specific date. So this date in particular So one of the confusing points for you is because we added the new construction and there was a time delay, we first sent you the valuation based on an April 1st, 2018 market value. And then shortly after, it seems like the price went up like crazy, but that's because we've reassessed it 3 years later. So the new market valuation date today that we're discussing is April 1st, 2021. And it is market value stated in the Act.
Okay. I asked the question because we moved into the property, that is, we got the possession on the 29th of October.
Okay, sir, we'll leave your evidence till your turn to present, okay? Any other questions on the assessor's brief presented?
For now, I think
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, I do have one now. What? You've got subject sales October 29th, 2021, but my document doesn't show what the purchase price was. Do you have access to the purchase price?
I actually intentionally removed it.
Because of
Just-
the reference.
We're bound to try to, I mean, if the appellant wants to share that, that's his own thing, but at our end here, we're asked to really not present any post-reference evidence, and I think that the board respects that as well. So that's after our April 1st, 2021 market valuation date. If it was prior, you'll notice on all my other briefs I mention it, but I just keep it off because I don't want it to influence your decision today.
I assumed that was the case, but thank you for explaining it. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Narinder, any questions of the assessor?
Not at this point.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gauthier, you made a comment that there was a double detached garage under construction. It's my understanding that that isn't assessed for in this current appeal. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're going to be adding it shortly and sending a supplementary notice increasing its value.
Okay. And regarding the commercial adjacent influence you've got documented on the brief. So you've been proactive in saying that there's commercially zoned property north across the lane from the subject property, and you've reflected in adjustment to the assessment for commercial basement.
I just checked our map and it's zone V-Res 2, which tells me multifamily apartment block. I don't know if it'll be low rise or high rise. I haven't had a chance to apartments, but expect multifamily development there.
Yeah. Okay. So if when that does happen, somebody would review the influence on the subject property and adjust the assessment possibly? No,
because we're already reflecting that. So we've already given ahead of time based on the zoning, because it's coming up any time now. So we've just gone proactively. If a property is zoned accordingly, and these type of new developments, it's going to go up. So we've basically been proactive about it. When we subdivided the land in our system, we said, you know what? Instead of coming back to this and dealing with it later, we just deal with it now. So we're actually getting a cut right now for something that's looks like a park behind him for now. So enjoy the space.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the explanation. Okay. So that concludes the assessor's presentation. The appellant, just bear with us 1 second and we will get to your brief, please. So Monica, I'm showing no brief submitted by the appellant. Is that right?
For 455 Monry? That's correct. Oh no, I apologize. We're talking about Tyson.
Yeah, we're 506 Tyson Trail. I'm getting nothing filed.
Monica, if you could possibly let me know how to adjust my volume on Zoom. I'm technologically challenged, so
I'll ask Alan, do you have a suggestion for this morning?
asking me to increase my volume on Zoom, I don't know. I know how to mute myself, that's about it. I'd be glad to do it. I'm just not sure how. I've got all my volumes that I know of cranked here, so hopefully everybody can hear me. I'll lean in.
Are you logged in through the Zoom app or on the website?
Also a good question. I just clicked on the link you sent me, so maybe we'll deal with this at another time, but
Another time,
yeah. I'll just lean in like this. I'm 3 inches from the mic here, so.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you were asking about a brief for Tyson. There should have been.
Yeah, presented by the appellant.
I received one, so there's one out there.
Mine comes up with the copy of the assessor's brief
Okay, I
only.
can send you, it's a 1 page. Just one moment, please.
Okay,
I have about a dozen pages, so it's more than 1 page.
Okay, we've just replaced the document. Try to open it again.
okay. Yes, thank you very much. I've got it now. Do the other panel members have access to it?
Yeah, I got it last night.
Okay. Narinder, do you have it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I've got it now. Okay, thank you. The applicant may proceed, please.
Okay. Sir?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I just like in addition to that, sir, in March we received the first assessed value to be 306, and 4 months after we received another one 375,000. So and there's no improvement. The basement is still the way we bought it. The only construction going on is the garage at the back because it's back late. And we just started building it this month. We have not completed it. And just as I said, most of my neighbor that we have almost the same side, the gross floor area, the side building, the assessed value is far below that of my own. Actually, we say we should not compare the assessment value. Then he made mention of the commercial adjacent. I will suggest that they should wait until the place is developed because the still is not developed. It's only like a layout at the moment. So the government can decide to even change it. So at the moment, it should be seen as a layout. It has not been developed. Then there's one disadvantage in this our area. There is this rail line that most of the time is a big problem. Actually, every time the train move. So and there's only one major road that enter our site. That is a Demonstrator Drive. So this is a new site that is still developing, and then within 3 to 4 months, my assessed value increased like 75,000. So there's no justification for that. So that's why I decided to appeal, sir. And concerning the gross floor area, I still insist our gross floor area is 1352 square feet. And concerning the commercial adjacent, the place has not been developed at the moment. I would suggest that we should wait until it's developed. So that's my submission, sir.
Okay. So I believe the assessor, I'm not sure if you understood what the assessor said about the preliminary assessment reflecting a previous assessment cycle, and you received a supplementary assessment going into the latest assessment cycle. Did you understand what the assessor said to you, explaining why that had happened, the difference in value due to different assessment assessment dates?
Yes, what he said, I didn't get it very well because.
Okay, maybe Mr. Goche, could you explain it simply to him? Maybe yeah.
Try to be as simple as possible. So what happens is there's a 3-year market value difference between the first assessment you received. The first assessment you received was not current market value. It was based on April 1st, 2018. Okay. So to be clear, your house was built in 2021, but what we did is we teleported the house back in time to April 1st, 2018. And we said, if it sold on that day, it would have went for $306,000. And then your next assessment that came shortly after, and why you felt like, holy smokes, this is a huge jump, is based on a market value 3 years later. So April 1st, 2021. Don't feel bad. You're not the first person confused with this. So you get 2 assessments back to back within a short time frame. And it seems like it jumps in a matter of months. But if you actually read the documentation carefully, the first reassessment would have said based on the 2018 market value. The second one would have said 2021. So in 3 years, Winnipeg market has galloped substantially. So that's why you saw a huge increase.
Thank you, Mr. Goche. And then the assessors, the appellant's second concern is regarding the commercial adjacent influence applied. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir, before you proceed, I would like to comment on that 2018. Sir, I know, from my own, just from my own perspective, there's no way that my property will worth $307,000 at 2018.
But we're not here today to discuss the previous assessment. If you had issues with that, you would have had that assessment. We're here today to discuss the 2023 assessment, which is based on an April 1st.
Yes, I'm talking about the first assessment we received, the assessed value we received. It's on my side. There's no way that our property will worth $306,000 at 2018.
That's what we had. Whether I didn't investigate whether or not that was accurate. I would hope with new construction that it would be accurate, but we're not here today to discuss that. I'm just letting you know that there's a 3-year market valuation difference. Today, what's being appealed is your 2023. That's what we have to focus on.
Okay, I agree with you, sir. But as today, my property.
You can disagree with us, or that's fine, but we can't do anything.
That is my own, just my own pattern from the information I get. My property does not worth $375,000 because the building still remains the way we bought it. We have not done the basement, and the garage is still under construction. The comparable property, the gross floor area of our building is far below those comparable, and they're even far from our home, almost more than 1 kilometer. And as I said, the commercial, I just said you made mention, you still review. The development has not started. So I would suggest that we wait till the development is done before it will reflect. Because the government can even decide to change the land layout of the commercial adjacent we are talking about.
So the commercial influence right now is working in your favor because we've actually been proactive and we've provided a cut to your assessment based on a structure that's not there yet. But it'll come.
Then there's only one major road that enters that side. That is Different Road Drive. And the disadvantage of rail line that just our adjacent. So I want to appeal that the panel should have look at the assessment.
Okay, can the appellant, I note that you've got comparable sales along Tyson Trail would you like to detail the comparables that you're using to say that the assessment is incorrect, sir?
Yes, based on the one sent to me, but all this one, the term of the land size and the gross floor area, they are even far more than my own. That is from the website.
Okay, so which address are you referring to, please?
Yes, those one just right beside me that we are neighbor. I almost the same gross floor area, like 510,000 trade, 502,000 trade, 498,000 trade built by the same developer. 498,000 trade.
Sorry, I'm looking at your comparisons that you've got asterisk, and I don't see any of those addresses on your evidence presented.
Yes, actually,
you're showing on, it says page 42 of 53 of the City of Winnipeg sales book, and you've got number 8 Tyson Trail, you've got number 12, number 40, and number 118. I'm just trying to get to establish what you're comparing to. Is that the evidence you're presented to us? And if it is, could you go through it and explain the selling price and the house style and that kind of thing, please?
Yes, these are the available comparison available on the website.
Okay.
The one at down 18,000 trade. As I said, the gross floor area from by appearance is more than my own.
Okay.
The gross floor area. The front side is also more than my own. All the comparable here, the gross floor area and the land size are more than my own.
Number 40, okay. And number 118, all right. So these are time adjusted selling prices of the 4 you present, or 5 you presented to us. Have you done an analysis on how much they were selling per square foot? Those 5 you used?
Actually, I haven't done the square foot.
Okay. I'm just trying to help you get through the evidence that you're presenting to us so we can move along here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any comments on those 4 comparables or 5 comparables, pardon me?
Yes, the comment I've made earlier, 31 and 8 the size one. The land size are more than my own, the gross floor area are more than my own.
Okay.
The distance
okay.
More than 1 kilometer. So
right.
I will plus the comparable one are developed already. The area are developed and it will command higher value compared to new site. My own property is a new site, so there are still at the back of our building there's vacant land undeveloped at the moment. So the market value will be far below the comparable the valuation officer don't compare.
Okay.
And as I said, the basement is not done. Concerning the garage, we have not finished it, just like 60%.
Right. Okay. Well, we might as well deal with it now. Based on these comparable evidence, I'm speaking out of turn here. What do you think? Based on these comparables, what do you think your home should be assessed at other than what the assessor is presenting to the board today?
The market value should be like a range of 350. So the assessed value I would suggest that it should be like that of range of 330 to 350, sir.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
The assessed value should be the range of 320 to 350.
From 320 to 360?
50.
50?
Yes.
So you're asking for 350,000?
So if you can use your position, even less than that, I'd be grateful.
Okay. So I'm sorry, just to be clear, we're asking for $350,000 as the adjusted value for your property.
Say between 320 to 350.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry to put words in your mouth here, but I'm just trying to get to the point here so we can move along.
Yes, sir.
Because I didn't see where it was put in your brief. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
Yes, sir. Because I'm just afraid since we still have a lot of things to carry out on the building. We have not done the basement. By the time we do the garage, the assessed value will be out of our what we could get.
Well, I think as the assessor stated, the garage isn't assessed yet, so that's to come. But anyway, we're dealing with your property without a garage right now. That's what the assessment is reflecting. Okay. Anything else, sir?
At the moment, no, sir.
If you'd like, you'll still have an opportunity to summarize once the assessor, once we've dealt with questions of yourself. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Gauthier, any questions of the appellant's evidence?
I just want him to clarify. I was just going through this page with the asterisks on the comparable sales, and I think he picked some great comparable sales on his street, by the way. The lowest I can find is 376,700. I'm just curious, that being the low end of the range, why the appellant would ask for 320. I'm confused a little bit. So maybe you could clarify, is there a difference between your property and these comparables that you've presented to us today that would justify a huge value difference between them and your property?
Oh, Mr. Gauthier, he was having some trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'll lean into the mic. Okay, so my question is I think the lowest sale I can find on the appellant's comparables is at 376,000. I'm just curious, given those comparables, that's the low range, why he would feel that his house is worth 320,000, and is there something that would differentiate his house from these comparables that he's chosen that would justify a lower value?
Thank you. The one you're talking about, probably could be asking price, and sometimes when you are trying to do auction, you see auction also sometimes the price is always on the high side. So sometimes you can't really rely on. By the time you start to negotiate, the seller can even accept as low as 350, and probably the seller even want to sell it with most of his equipment inside, like other the home appliances. So some of them they will not state this until you start the negotiation. So some seller the seller even want to sell you all these appliances. That's why the price is nicer. And sometimes the auction can't really rely on the auction when as the true market value. By the time the negotiation and the start the negotiation, the price will even be as low as 340 or 350,000.
You're aware that on the spreadsheet, these are the time adjusted sales prices, so that we're referring to. So these are not pre-sale, pre-negotiated purchases. These are signed, sealed, delivered, gone through land titles.
The one on the spreadsheet, sir, all this, as I said, in terms of the gross floor area, in terms of the land side, they are far above my own property.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Gauthier?
That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions of the appellant?
I just have one question. First of all, thank you for giving us the sales book amounts, and these are the houses that have sold on Tyson Trail. You did say that some of these were larger, they had more land. Are there any of these addresses that would be similar in size to your house that you have on Tyson Trail from the sale book? And if so, which ones? Or which one?
What really happened is that most of the one on the spreadsheet in terms of the gross floor and land size, no. But the new building beside my neighbor, know that we're on the same road, like 498. It's built by the same developer, the same gross floor area, the same land size.
Okay. But that's not on this because it's the sale is after the.
But it has not been updated on the website.
Oh, because it was probably sold after the time limitation date of April 2021.
Like this 498 Tyson Trail, we able to possess almost the same, like 3 days different.
Okay.
Yes.
But I don't see 498 Tyson Trail on here.
Yeah, it does not be updated on the website.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Mr. Donjol, any questions of the appellant?
Not at this point. No, I don't.
Thank you. Okay. And I have no questions other than to confirm. I guess I do have one. Sir, the assessment your value you're seeking is $320,000.
Yes, I'm just suggesting that range of 320 to 350.
So $320,000 to $350,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That is that's my only question. Excuse me. Mr. Gauthier, any requirement for a summary?
No, I think everything's pretty clear here.
Okay, thank you. And does the appellant have any requirement for a summary at this time?
Did you want to say anything?
Yes, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity once again, the chairperson. And I'll be very grateful if you could review my asset value. So I'm not trying to challenge your opinion, but I just feel that the asset value of my property is on my side. So I would like you to help me review it and reduce it. So I'm very grateful, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for appearing, and you'll hear from us as soon as possible, okay, in writing. Thank you. That concludes 506 Tyson Trail, and I think we will take a 10-minute recess, please. Thank you. I will now call the hearing back to order. Excuse me. Next property on the docket is item number 7, 455 Monry Street, file 22-215, and we're dealing with the 2023 realty assessment. I understand the appellant is in attendance at the hearing, so Monica, could you please swear in the appellant, and the assessor's already been sworn in.
Commissioner, please state your full name. You affirm that the evidence you're about to give experience is true, all true, and that's
Good morning, Mr. Kushner.
Good morning, all.
Okay, so Mr. Gauthier, please proceed with 455 Monry Street, file number 22-215 when you're ready.
Subject roll number is 14051531000, commonly known as 455 Monreath. It's in the neighborhood of Robertson. A 1.5-story dwelling built in 1947. We don't have any effective age on it, so we have 1947 effective age, 877 square feet, full basement with some sort of basement finishing. We have 1 full bath, no half baths, and no extra showers. We have that it has central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garage, and then we have a multiple detached garage, no pools, and no sunrooms. It's located on a parcel of land that is just shy of 4,000 square feet. We have the assessed value at $231,000. I'm presenting 4 comparable sales that are all in the Robertson neighborhood. They're all 1.5-story dwellings, single-family homes, built between 1948 and 1950. The effective ages vary between 1955 and 1968. Square footage varies between 900 square feet and 916 square feet. They all have full basements with basement finish. All have 1 bathroom, or 1 full bath, I should say. Half baths vary between 0 and 1. No extra showers noted. They all have central air conditioning. No fireplaces. No attached garages. Comparable 1 has a multiple detached garage, so does comparable 2. Comparable 3 has a single detached, and comparable 4 has a single detached garage. No pools and no sunrooms. Land is all very, very tight range, around that 4,000 square feet. Comparable 1 is an external corner, which I don't think impacts the value that much typically. Our sales are all happen to be between, or they're in our reference period, so between 2019 and 2020. Sale prices range between $227,000 and $275,000. The time adjusted sale prices range between 281, or call it 282,000 and 240,000, giving us a time adjusted sales price per square foot ranging between $264 and $313 a square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the assessed value at $231,000. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Kushner, good morning. Would you have any questions of the evidence presented by the assessor?
Well, one of the issues I have is, I believe, at least I feel, the assessment is a little bit too high and excessive for 1 year. As of last year, compared to this year, there's a $21,000 difference.
Mr. Kushner, you'll have an opportunity to present your evidence, but at this time, I would just ask you to question any evidence presented by the assessor so far on the brief you've got in front of you.
Well, some of the evidence that is presented, I believe, are a little excessive, and I don't think they reflect exactly what my house is or my property is.
Okay. Any questions on any of the comparables other than the comment that you don't think they're appropriate?
Well, I've given some examples with my submissions.
Yeah, we'll deal with that in a moment after we've questioned the assessor ourselves. But again, any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
Other than what I just mentioned.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Mann, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
No, I don't have any, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dangeau, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Not at this point.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gauthier, my only questions maybe as a reference here. I note that all 4 of the comparables do have effective years built. Could you explain why that would be present?
So what we try to do when the house gets renovated, we try to adjust for that so that our model comes up with a fair value. So typically, basically we look at if you used a 100-year useful life or a some appraisers will use 70, 80 years, but it's in that range, between 70 and 100 years useful life. In other words, if you don't do anything to a house after 100 years, it's done. So if a permit comes through to say renovate just a bathroom, do some minor changes, we may add, 5 years effective age. If we get a permit come through for redoing a basement finish in one of these older homes and redoing the whole exterior and a kitchen, for example, like a fairly substantial reno, we may add 30, 40 years effective age. So it's a tool that we used to use average, good, excellent, superior. The problem with that is it doesn't wear off with time. So we've decided to switch over to a model that uses effective age.
Okay.
It is a judgment call by the appraiser who's reviewing the file. And it is a very difficult judgment call, but we try our best to maintain that when we're reviewing sales. So a 10-year effective age would be appropriate for a house that, say, had a kitchen reno.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. That's my only question. Okay. Mr. Kushner, bear with me 1 second so we can both, or all of us, open your brief submitted. Monica, again, I do not have a submission from the appellant on my shared file. Would you mind checking that, please?
Okay. I don't believe it was submitted prior. Is that correct? I don't think I have anything.
I don't have a copy of it either. I looked on my email and this.
So we don't have a copy, just to clarify, we don't have a copy of Mr. Kushner's evidence available to the panel on shared file?
No, there's nothing. He has.
Okay. So, Mr. Kushner, we can accept the verbal evidence. If you wouldn't mind going slowly so we can
Take some notes.
So that we can take notes.
Let me just double check here.
There was a complete file with various properties, pictures. All of that was put in with the original documents that I sent in when I applied for for this hearing.
Oh, I see. Okay. Then let's give the Monica a chance to, and Belen a chance to perhaps search them down. It would be better if we could view them, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. Maybe Stan?
Yeah, I think it's just found for this. I'll give it. Yeah, we have them. We share.
Okay, I think I've got it now. I've got a garage with a JPEG series and some other pics of empty lots, 455, back of the house pictures, property sold in general area.
Yeah, it's like 6 items altogether.
Is it possible, Belen or Monica, to get a copy of that and share it with us?
Updated right now, there should be a new folder with file numbers 22215 and 22216.
Okay.
And there will be 6 items in there.
Okay, nothing yet.
PDFs and 2 pictures.
Hmm.
Okay.
No, nothing yet.
I got the stuff. Showed up on my computer already.
So just go back to the main SharePoint folder for July 26th, and the folder should be in there.
Okay, that's where I am.
You might want to hit refresh.
No, mine isn't updating.
Okay, I'll just email it to you.
Or maybe I should just go out and come back in. How would that be?
Monica, if you're sending an email, you could CC me as well, please.
I've already sent it to you.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to go out here and I'm coming back in right away to shared. No, I'm okay. If you don't mind emailing it, it's not updating for me for some reason, but I shall await your email. How's that?
So we're through. Yes, sir. Something went through.
Did you get that email, Eric?
I did, thank you.
Nowadays, you almost have to feed that every same.
Okay, Mr. Hutchings, I've sent 3 emails with 2 or 3 attachments each.
Okay. I've got 2 addresses that aren't on the docket.
Yeah, so that I didn't rename anything. The only thing I did was include the attachments as they were received.
Okay, there we go.
The email subject line has the file numbers that we're expecting.
I have it now. Just bear with me 1 second here. So I have a, excuse me. I have a picture of the back side of the house. And the second one attached is okay, it's a I have I have properties sold in my general area PDF. Would that be it? 4 pages. And then I have one for the vacant lot, which would be the next, that would be the next appeal on the docket, I believe. Okay, so I've received them all. Yes, okay. Just bear with me 1 second, and I'm going to open the document that Mr. Kushner is going to be referring to. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Kushner, when you are ready, please.
Okay, I sent you, well, I should say the ladies has sent you the houses that are listed in the general area of my area. I've only got one on this list that was sold on my street, but at the time, these were the only ones I could get at that date. Now, just to add something to the information that I was supplied with the original letter or sales data and property details, I couldn't access that website. It didn't work. I don't know if it did for other people, but for me at the time, it did not work. So I went ahead and I found stuff on my own on what they call Price Hub. And these are the properties where I found that were in my general area, giving the size of the lots, some information about the houses, and also what they sold for. And I'm kind of comparing these with my property, because they're all in the general area. And along with that, we're speaking about just the house at this point. I've sent you 4 pictures, or you should have 4 pictures of the house. One being, one of the pictures is a spare lot right beside the house, which we'll deal with that later. But for now, we'll just deal with the house assessment. And that's, and again, my biggest thing is I feel the assessment from 22 to 23 has jumped substantially, and I think it should be readjusted based on the other properties in the area.
Okay, would you like to go through the relevant ones, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Would you like to go through the relevant properties you're speaking to, the comparables?
Well, the list that I've sent you, or the list that you have, they're all within a couple blocks of my street. To give you one example, 419 Galloway Street. 779 Aberdeen is not far away. 403 Cairnsmore. 860 College. 424 Dalton. 435 Moncrief. Those are all within close proximity of my property. Some of the other ones on Magnus, of course, they're a little further away. And
okay, how would you like to pick 3 or 4 that you feel are most relevant, and kind of give a quick summary of house style, perhaps the age of the property, square footage and selling price, and the time of sale?
Well, these were up for sale at the time. I didn't, like you can see there, it's June 16th is when they were up for sale. Now, when they sold, I don't know.
So, okay, just to clarify before we proceed, these are not sold prices. These are not reflecting sales. These are reflecting asking prices listed in the open market?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, before we go through those, do you have any evidence of sold properties?
No, not right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, unfortunately, what you presented here, obviously you've done a lot of work, doesn't represent market value. it only represents possible selling prices. So, so I think I asked you, do you have any sold market evidence in your evidence?
You're asking for sold price?
That's correct.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Most of these houses, I know they sold.
Right.
And again, from what I can gather, most of these prices, they were sold higher than the asking price. But I don't have any evidence to substantiate that, not right now.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to, the panel will decide, evidence presented, but we're not going to be able, we'll decide how much evidence we're going to be able to put on this, on these asking prices when we do our deliberations on the assessment value. So perhaps you'd like to go ahead and explain why you think the assessment is incorrect on your property.
Well, I mean, for one thing, the assessment, in my opinion, is too high for the value of the property. There's been really no improvements, no major improvements done to the house. There's been no major repairs done in any shape or form other than a sidewalk. And I just don't feel for the value of the house, the assessment is valid.
Okay. You had presented a picture of the subject property in the back. Was there a reason for that, or?
Yes, that's very recent.
And why did you present that picture?
Well, because in the information booklet or handout that I got in the mail, they asked for that, so I sent it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so any evidence you could present, prove or defending your assertion that the assessment is wrong?
Well, I feel it's wrong, yes.
Okay. Can you give an explanation why?
Well, again, nothing was changed to the property. There's been no major improvements. I mean, some minor improvements over the last 30 years because I bought this thing about 30 years ago. And I just don't feel like in the last couple of years, my assessment for 2022 was 210. And now for 23, it's gone up $21,000 in 1 year. And nothing has changed. Like, why all of a sudden now? And when I look at the other houses in the area, their selling price is well below the assessment value for what they're worth.
Yeah, okay. Well, perhaps I'll ask Mr. Gauthier to explain that to you.
Well, the difference in value. So even though a piece of real estate doesn't change, what happens is the market, unfortunately or fortunately, depends how you look at it, the market does change, even though the house doesn't change. So what's happened is this time in particular, we usually reassess every 2 years. But this time, because of the pandemic, we skipped a year. So there's actually a 3-year market difference. So even though your house hasn't changed, previous assessment was based on an April 1st, 2018. And now the new assessment, 3 years later, we're pegging a market date of evaluation date of April 1st, 2021. So, I mean, typical appreciation in Winnipeg, you could say somewhere, depending on the neighborhood and place, you could say 3 to 5% a year, depending where you are, is generally typical, right? So, and that's a house that doesn't change, right? So it's the marketplace that's changing. It's not your house necessarily that's changing. We don't have any effective age or renovations on file, as I've disclosed in my brief.
Well, how did you arrive, or the committee, how did they arrive at a $21,000 increase in less than a year? How did they arrive at that?
It's actually 3 years.
That's what?
It's a 3-year period, as I just explained.
So you're saying from 19 or 18?
I'm saying your previous assessment. So right now, as we sit right now, you just paid, like most people, you may have paid your tax bill end of June. If you're not on the TIPS program, all of those homeowners paid on a market valuation date. We're in 2022 right now. I lose track of this sometimes to remind myself. But what happens is that market valuation date was April 1st, 2018. So if you look up your current market valuation date, it's based on 2018. What we're discussing today is for next year, for 2023, we're changing our valuation date 3 years later to April 1st, 2021. And don't feel bad for being confused. This is confuses a lot of people. Even before I started working here, I was a realtor and it confused me. So it's that's how it works. So it seems like in a year it's changed, but it's in fact a 3-year time frame.
So you're saying all these houses that I listed, that I've given you, as far as evidence, all of those houses all went up that much?
Well, I never use a blanket and say they all went up. Different segments of the market, different neighborhoods different types of homes may have appreciated. For example, we had condos that didn't go up anything in value in that 3-year period. They stayed flat. Meanwhile, Old Tuxedo was up 28%. So the market doesn't do blanket increases. Neither do we. We harvest market evidence. So we look at sales in your neighborhood and we build very sophisticated valuation models that come up with values, mass appraisal modeling, so that we can do valuation on limited staff here to keep your tax dollars working the best way possible without having to hire hundreds of appraisers to manually appraise properties.
What you're saying is this house on 419 Galway that's priced at $200,000, $199. The assessed value for that would be the same as mine right now. And they're selling it for less.
I haven't looked at that home. Honestly, you're looking at a third-party website. So I used to sell real estate. And what happens with these third-party websites that are not governed by the Manitoba Real Estate Board is they're used as bait stations. Some of those listings don't even exist, unfortunately. Some of those listings have never sold. Some of those listings may have been listed in 2015. And unfortunately, realtors keep them up there so that you can call them and they can generate leads. So be very mindful and leery of third-party information like, these Zillows and type of websites. Stick to MLS. By all means, give us a call. We can walk you through comps. We publish a sales book on our website to help you out with that. Give me a shout. We'll be glad to go through and during the residential review program, review some sales with you and try our best to help you out if there's an issue.
What you're saying is this information that I sent you, that is not valid.
Unfortunately, I wouldn't rely on that because it's a third-party website. I looked up a few addresses quickly. I wish I would have received this yesterday, but unfortunately I didn't. Some of these addresses never sold. So they were advertised. Maybe a realtor advertised his own house to get the phone to ring. I don't know. Can't tell you what happens there because, like I said, it's third-party stuff and don't rely.
This one on 435 Monreath, it's sold. No, I don't know what it sold for.
Possibly.
It's on the list here.
I mean, we can look all the stuff up. I'm on the fly here and to look up whether a sale took place in the reference period. I mean, if the panel wants me to start looking up sales, we can try to do that, but we'll be here a little while.
No, Mr. Kushner, you have presented this evidence, I guess, not from the City of Winnipeg sales book. And the panel will decide how much weight we'll put on the evidence you've presented so far. Is there anything else you'd like to present? Well, I think we've gone through that you said you feel the assessment is too high. Anything else you'd like to present to us?
No, obviously, this stuff from what your assessor is telling me is not valid.
Yeah. Well, the panel will decide that when we go through the evidence. Okay. So, Mr. Anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, not really.
Okay. Mr. Goche, requirement for summary?
You know what? I think it's pretty clear here. I don't really have much to summarize. I tried my best to find 4 comparables that were similar in style, similar in year build construction. I wish I would have found some dated ones. I did look. There were limited sales. But I mean, obviously you'll notice they've sold for higher than the assessed value, but keep in mind that some of them do have a certain level of renovations. And according to the appellant, that home was not renovated. So, you know, once you start adjusting for that, I think the valuation is supported. And I encourage the appellant to call us, give me a call. We're very friendly. We can walk you through sales in your neighborhood. We can, you know, we have a residential review appointment program. Take advantage of it. It's free. And we can coach you through and show you, point you in the right direction to get valid information.
Thank you, Mr. Goche. Mr. Kirshner, any requirement for summary?
Well, just as a comment, I'd like to see my assessment drop to 215.
Okay.
Well or not, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So that concludes item number 7, 455 Monreith Street. Thank you, sir. And I believe you're appearing on the next property, item number 8, file number 22216. 0 address Monreith Street, I believe is a vacant residential lot. So if you just bear with us, Mr. Goche, we'll pull this brief up, okay? Okay. All right, Mr. Goche, when you're ready, item number 8, 0 Monreith Street, please.
So this is a vacant parcel next door to the previous property we discussed. It does not have a civic address. The roll number is 14051532000. It is a 40 by 100, more or less, vacant piece of land with, as far as I can tell with our satellite view, it has no dwellings, no garages, anything like that on it. I struggled to find comparables because there's not a lot of comparables for vacant parcels of land. It's a highly developed, older, established neighborhood. So bear with me. I have 3 comparables that I'd like to present today. I'm going to not bore you with all the details. I think what's important is the size and what they sold for. So the first comparable is 50 by 94. So 50 frontage by 94 deep. Second one is 30 by 100. And the third comparable is 46 by 100. So these are basically vacant land or vacant land with a tear down dwelling. The time adjusted sales price for the first one is $104,000. For the second comparable, we'll round it to $78,000. And the third comparable, $103,000. Note that comparable 1 and 2 had tear down dwellings, and a typical cost for permits and to demolish a dwelling in Winnipeg, from what I've been told by people who've gone through the process, is in the ballpark of $30,000. It does depend if you have asbestos abatement or not, but ballpark figure. So the subject property is a clean slate. There's no involved. So that actually is more appealing to someone who's looking to put an infill property, because there's a savings there of not having to demolish any dwellings. So we have the assessed value at $107,000. I'm recommending to maintain that. You'll notice one of my comparables is a 2016 comparable, so it's quite old. I had to use it sort of out of desperation just because there wasn't much. I don't like presenting only one or two comparables. So keep that in mind, that it is an older sale. The market has been going up. So, since 2016, obviously. But yeah, I feel like the assessed value is probably spot on. And that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Kushner, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented?
No, not really. I just, again, find the values that he's given on a little on the high side.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just going to add one little thing. This is with North End properties. You have to be careful because it's very pockety. I don't know how many people have driven through various pockets, but it's very important to stay close to the subject in the North End because you can go over 6 blocks away and things start to change dramatically when it comes to value. You can go a few blocks east or west. So it's a little bit tricky. So just keep that in mind if ever you're looking at vacant land parcels or valuing in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Okay. Mr. Mann, any questions of the assessor?
Just for my clarification, Mr. Gauthier, the fact that this has a separate roll number, even though it doesn't have a street address, means it has been subdivided and it could be built on as a separate lot?
As far as I can tell, the 40 frontage, 100 feet deep, zone residential, I don't see any issues. There's nothing screaming at me that this can't be developed. Typically, when you're under 25 feet, there's concerns because of minimum lot sizes that property planning and development have. For some reason, 2,500 square feet rings a bell as a kind of a red line point where if it's smaller than that, you may have issues building on it and it may be unusable land. But as far as I can tell, everything looks good to go. And as a matter of fact, there's no building to demolish. So it's very appealing piece of vacant land.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dongeau, any questions of the assessor?
No, not at this point.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Gauthier, location of the subject property, is it next door to the...
Directly next door.
Okay, so it's a side, we'll call it a vacant or adjacent lot. Is that right? Okay. And we're located between Mountain Avenue and Inkster, I guess, west or just east of McPhillips, right? Between that tracks and McPhillips. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's my only question. Okay. Mr. Kushner, when you are ready, do you have anything to present that we've got available here? Bear with us, please. I don't think so. No. Okay. Mr. Kushner, when you're ready, please explain why you think the assessment is incorrect.
Well, first of all, I've sent out, I don't know if you have some information about a piece of land. It's a little ways away on Florida Avenue. And with the price as well, it's vacant land. And that's a 35-foot lot, 150 deep. And that property, I believe I had maybe not on this one. That property was assessed a lot less.
Okay. Did it sell?
Again, I don't know. I didn't find out for details on it.
Okay.
But, it sold, well, the selling price is $84,900. And now
The selling,
wide.
the assessment or the selling price?
The selling price $84,900.
And when did that sell?
Again, I can't confirm that. I didn't.
Is this 5566 Flora?
Yes.
I'll just caution with comps that are sometimes when you cross boroughs, you get into a different neighborhood, really. But
Right. Okay. Okay. Anything else to tell us in the way of market evidence, Mr. Kushner?
No, that's the only one I could find that was vacant. Every other property I found had houses or buildings or something on it.
So
Okay.
I can help out a little bit here. It's 566 Flora sold in November 2018. A vacant piece of land is sold for $67,000.
18, did you say 2018?
Correct. So this is coming back to your third-party websites here that are giving you confusing information, but this is coming from land titles. But I'll just caution that you have to be careful. You almost have to drive by and walk by and check the pocket out and see before comparing in the north end. In
Okay.
Many times.
Thank you, Mr. Gochi. Okay, Mr. Kushner, any other evidence to present?
The only thing I'd like to see happen is the assessed value drop to 95,000.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. All right. Mr. Donjal, any questions of the appellant?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
Just one question. Why do you want to see offer the number up of 95,000? What do you base that $95,000 number on?
Well, I'm just going by some of the other areas like this one on Flora. And I mean, I don't have confirmation it's sold, but they were asking 84.9. It's a bigger lot than mine. And they were asking, let's say 85,000. And mine's smaller and it's being assessed at 107. I just don't see why it would be that much more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. Mr. Kushner, my first question is, have you ever had a recent market evaluation on this vacant lot?
No, I haven't.
Ever had any interest from a builder for an infill house?
Well, I've had lots of interest, people asking, but that's about it. I haven't made any decisions on what I want to do with it or not.
Okay.
No, I just use it as a vegetable garden, that's it.
If you were to put it on the market, what do you think you would sell it for?
Well, like I say, around 95, maybe 100 at the most.
Okay. And my second question, you made reference to revising the assessment to 95,000 based on a sale on Flora Avenue in 2018. Would you consider your location to be superior to a Flora Avenue vacant lot?
I wouldn't say superior, I'd probably say it's better because I maintain it. The one on Flora wasn't maintained.
Okay.
If Flora is maintained, I'm sure it would bring in more money as well.
I'm asking in regards to the location of the property between Flora Avenue and yours north of Mountain Avenue. Pardon me?
I would say the location area is better.
Yours is?
Better, yes.
Okay. And you're asked for, just to confirm, you're asking for a revised value at $95,000 solely based on that Flora sale or mainly based on that Flora Avenue sale?
Right.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions. Any requirement for summary by either party?
I'll summarize briefly. I mean, not a lot of sales to go by that are directly in the neighborhood. I presented the three best I can find. I think what the appellant is asking for is not necessarily unreasonable, and it's within the range of the comparables here. So I just kind of want to throw that out there that when I say I'm supporting the value at 107, maybe it's give or take 10 grand. Like, you know what I mean? It's not an art. It's not a science. It's a bit of an art, I should say. So there's a range. And definitely Flora, I think if you went for a walk there, you went for a walk on Monreath, you'd probably pick Monreath over Flora, but that's the north end for you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Kushner, any requirement for summary?
No, I think I've said everything I need to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for appearing. That concludes item number 8, 0 Monreath Street. Thank you, sir. You may leave.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. You have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You'll hear from us as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Next property on the docket is item number 9, file 22-203, 220 Hansard Boulevard. Monica, any comment on that one?
I have no confirmation of anybody attending in person or via Zoom.
Okay. Okay, then I will take file number 22-203, 220 Hansard Boulevard, and it will be moved to the end of the docket. The board will now recess to deliberate with respect to the remaining items to be heard. Can the secretary please move the hearing to offline? Thank you. I will now call the meeting back to order. The board has deliberated and will proceed with the remaining items in the absence of the applicants. The first item for regarding non-appearance is item number 1, file 22204, 1081 Jesse Avenue. Mr. Assessor, Mr. Gauthier, could you please present a summary of the subject property, the comparables, and whether you are supporting the assessment or not, please?
So the subject property is roll number 12030814000 1081 Jesse, located in the neighborhood of Rockwood. It's a 2-story infill single-family home built in 2009, 1,633 square feet, full basement with no basement finish, 1 full bath, 2 half baths, 1 extra shower, central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garage, a detached multiple garage, no pools, no sunrooms, located on a parcel that's just shy of 5,000 square feet. We have the assessed value at $470,000. I'll summarize my comps here just due to time restraints. Basically, I have 4 infill comps that I was lucky enough to find. They range between 2009 and 2019 construction, so keep that in mind. Some of these are going to have a little bit less wear and tear than the subject would. The sizes range between 1,300 and call it 1,900 square, or between 1,300 and 1,990 square feet. They all have full basements. 3 of my comparables have finished basements, so comp 2, 3, and 4. Bathroom counts range between 1 and 3 for full baths, 1 and 2 for half baths, 0 and 2 for extra showers. They all have central AC. Only comp 3 has a fireplace. Only comp number 3 has an attached multiple garage. As far as detached garages, comp 1 has a single, comp 2 has a multiple, comp 3 has no detached garage, and comp 4 has a multiple. No sunrooms and no pools. Land sizes are important here because we have a pretty substantial range between 2,462 square feet, which is quite narrow, and 3,599 square feet. I'll just skip to the time-adjusted sale prices. They range between $490,000 and $546,000, providing a price per square foot, time adjusted between $261 and $377 per square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the assessed value.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Mann, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donjal, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
No, not at this point.
Okay. And I also have no questions of the assessor's evidence. In the absence of the appellant, that now concludes the appeal on 1081 Jesse Avenue. Next property on the docket, in the absence of the applicant, is file number 2, item number 2, pardon me, file number 22-210. It is 226 Thurso Street. And Mr. Gauthier, if you bear with us for a second, please. I will pull up your brief. When you're ready, Mr. Gauthier, please.
Subject property is roll number 1203109200, commonly known as 226 Thurso Street. It's located in Rockwood. It's a one-story single-family home built in 1951 with 1,124 square feet. It's built on slab, so it has no basement or basement finish. It's got one full bath, no half baths, no central AC, no fireplaces, no attached garage. It has a large multiple attached garage. I've noted here 672 square feet, so a big one. No pools, no sunrooms. It's on a larger lot than usual, on a larger corner lot beside the park in a community center. 6,066 square feet, so much larger than you usually find in the area. We have the assessed value at for 2023 at $285,000. I presented 3 comparables here. I could have found other comparables that were on the same street that were bungalows that had full basements. Those were fairly common, but I wanted to be fair here, so I really focused on the no basement on slab so that we didn't have to, open that can of worms. That's the reason comp number 1 is a 1.5 story. If you look on the map, you'll see it also backs school, very similar location, so I liked it a lot. Anyways, the comparables are in Rockwood, Ebby Wentworth, and Earl Grey. The subject is actually located in the intersection of multiple neighborhoods that we have, so they're very close by, as you'll see on the map. The comparables are either bungalows or 1.5 stories. Single family homes, the range between 1923 and 1947 construction. The effective age ranges between 1929 and 1947. The size unfortunately varies greatly, between 700 square feet and 1,072 square feet. But more importantly, they all have sort of no finishable basement, or they're either on crawl space, park basement, dugout, that sort of thing. So that's all even keel there. So none of them have basement finish. They all have one full bath, no half baths, no extra showers. Only comp number 2 has central AC, no fireplaces, no attached garages, and only comp number 1 has a multiple attached garage, similar in size actually to the subject. And comp number 2 has a single detached garage. Note that comp number 3 has no garages. None of the comps have pools or sunrooms. The land size varies greatly, so keep that in mind. At the low end, 2,533 square feet for comp number 3, all the way to 4,208 square feet for comp number 1. They're all sold in our reference period. Sale prices vary from 205,000 to 277. I'll jump to the time-adjusted sales prices. They vary to between 222,000 and 300,000, giving an adjusted time-adjusted sale price per square foot range of $232 a square foot to $346 a square foot. I'm recommending to maintain the assessment at $285,000. I just want to note that, since the appellant's here, I'm not sure if you guys can read my notes, but that we basically, I think a mistake was made on the previous cycle, given some bad evidence. So it was reduced basically to land value last cycle. So there was, sort of a dramatic increase between last cycle and this cycle. So that'll be all.
Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Mann, any questions of the assessor?
No, I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dongjal, any questions of the assessor?
No, not at this point.
Thank you. Eric, I do have a couple of questions. Location, I'm looking at your site map. Is that Corridon Avenue? Is that ballpark or sort of rec center on Corridon Avenue that we're looking to the
That's
east
correct.
of the subject property? Okay. So the subject property is on a large lot adjacent on the west side of that community center. So you've got it as a park/rec center, but it is over 6,000 square feet.
Yeah, and
Okay.
there's trees that buffer between the baseball diamond, so it's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
It could be noisy if there's a baseball game.
Okay. Yeah.
You won't see any bush in between.
And my second question is regarding the type of basement on comp number 1 and 2. Do you think that those are documented as proper, being surface foundation rather than slab?
We have some bad data on that type of stuff because it's open on interpretation. But what these all are is they don't have any basement of any kind. So they're either on crawl space or on slab.
Yeah.
Come across files where, for whatever reason, the assessors mixed and matched them a little bit. But the important thing affects the value. No basement that can be finished or used, and it impacts the value dramatically, which is why on comps that were similar.
So comp number 3 has probably just got the furnace and the hot water tank in the part basement, like a dugout sort of.
Yeah, the trap door in the bathroom style, the rickety stairs going down, and the dark.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, that was my only question, and you're assessing it at $253 a square foot, right? Okay. All right. Okay, that's all my questions. So in absence of the appellant, that concludes, excuse me, 226 Thurso Street. Okay, then we move on to the last item on our docket, item number 9, file number 22-203. Address is 220 Hansard Boulevard. And in the absence of the appellant, Mr. Gauthier, I'm going to ask you to proceed, but just bear with me 1 second, please. Okay, Mr. Gauthier, please proceed. 220 Hansard Boulevard.
Subject properties roll number 10002869000, commonly known as 220 Hansard Boulevard. It's located in Old Tuxedo. 2-story, single-family home built in 1936. We have no effective age on it. 1,904 square feet of living space with a full basement, some sort of basement finishing. I have 1 full bath, 2 half baths, and an extra shower. Central air conditioning, 1 fireplace, a single attached garage, no detached garages, no pools, and no sunrooms. It's located on a 9,747 square foot lot, typical for that neighborhood. We have the assessment at $720,000. I'm presenting 3 comparables here that are all in Old Tuxedo. Very important to state in that neighborhood. They're all 2-story homes, single-family dwellings, built between 1931 and 1949. Effective ages are between 1931 and 1969. Areas vary between 1912 square feet and 2140 square feet. They all have full basements. Note that comparable number 3 has full basement and part area. And to clarify what that means is often an addition has been added on crawl space. So that's what that part area means. They all have some sort of basement finishing. Full baths vary between 1 and 2. Half baths vary between 1 and 2. Extra showers between 0 and 2. Comp 1 does not have central air. The rest do. Attached garages, fireplaces vary between 1 and 2. Attached garages, comp 2 and 3 have single attached garages, and for detached garages, comp 1 has a multiple, comp 2 has a single, and comp 3 has a multiple. No in-ground pools on any of them, and there's a sunroom on comparable number 1. Land sizes are all fairly similar, except comp 3 has a smaller land size at 7862. All the sales are in our reference period. Sale prices vary between a low of 690 and 808,000. Time adjusted sale prices vary between 46,000 and 748,000, giving us a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging between 391 and 401 a square foot. I'm asking to maintain the value. Long story short, I've got 2 homes that were bulldozed in that area that support a value of, once you remove these fairly large dwellings, probably at a cost of $30,000 to $40,000. I presented 2 land sales here. One of them at 620. It was advertised as vacant land, as you'll see in the MLS listing. And the other one was torn down shortly after it was purchased for $661,000. And these are all very close to the subject property. So long story short, you could light a match, burn the place down, and the value is almost there. So that's all I have. We do have it assessed at $720,000 for 2023.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gauthier. Mr. Donjal, any questions of the assessor?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Mr. Mann, any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I think I am good also. Okay, in the absence of the applicant, that concludes the appeal for 220 Hansard Boulevard. And we have heard all the items scheduled on this docket today, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.